I'm so excited for today's video because we are going to be talking about the one and only Bridgit Mendler. And if you stay tuned until the very end, you'll find out what JD means. Oh, chalk dust. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing another Disney Journey video, which are my favorite videos to make on this channel. And today we are going to be talking about one of the most interesting stars to ever come on Disney Channel, the one and only Bridgit Mendler. Now, Bridgit Mendler was born on December 18th, 1992 in Washington, D.C. When she was just 8 years old, her family moved to California, more specifically around the San Francisco area, and that's where Bridgit began acting, working in plays, and doing musical theater. And she eventually became the youngest performer in the San Francisco Fringe Festival. Eventually, Bridgit wanted to expand her career, and at the age of 11, she earned a voice role on the 2004 animated film The Legend of Buddha. The movie follows the story of Prince Siddhartha Gautama, who leaves his kingdom in order to become the spiritual leader Buddha. Now, this film was only released in India, but there was both a Hindi and English version, and Bridgit was, of course, in the English version, voicing a young Siddhartha. And fun fact, the English version of this movie was submitted for Best Animated Feature Film at the 2005 Oscars, but it sadly didn't get nominated. Then in 2006, Bridgit landed a role on the soap opera General Hospital, where she played a character with a very messed up backstory. Trigger warning for a lot of things just because it's about to get crazy. So basically, there's this teenage girl named Lulu, not played by Bridgit. This is a different teenage girl. Then Lulu's parents divorce, and then Lulu ends up living with her mother. Then years later, it's not really working out, and Lulu ends up living with her father, and his father's new wife, and the wife's teenage son, which she already had before marrying the father. So now Lulu has a new stepbrother. Okay? Right. So the stepbrother, his name is Dylan, he's 18 years old, and then he marries a girl named Georgie, and Georgie is 17. And I don't care if it's only 1 year apart, that 1 year between 17 and 18 makes a huge difference, so I consider this grooming. But anyways, Dylan cheats on his wife now, I guess, Georgie. He cheats on her with Lulu, his stepsister, who is also under 18, by the way. And then Lulu gets pregnant, and then Lulu decides she doesn't want the baby, and then she goes through the process of canceling the pregnancy, which I can't even imagine how traumatic that experience must be for people who have to go through that. But then after that, Lulu has a dream, and in her dream, it's her future child basically yelling at her and being mad at her. And that future child in the dream, that is Bridgit's character. Ooh, didn't I tell you that soap operas are crazy? This is why I don't watch soap operas or reality TV in general, because it's just like ridiculous. Oh, also in 2006, Bridgit landed yet another voice acting role in the video game Bone. This game was based on the Bone comic series, and it was released only for Windows and Mac computers. So you couldn't play it on like Xbox or PlayStation or Wii. This was just a computer video game. In this game, Bridgit voiced a character named Thorn, and in my opinion, even though I think it's really cool to be able to voice a character in a video game, I do think that this gig was a step down from Buddha. Just because the graphics of this game are just like so bad from a 2026 lens, you know? Then in 2007, Bridgit landed a supporting role in the movie Alice Upside Down. Now, this movie is based on the Alice book series by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor. And I've noticed that they do that a lot in children's media. A lot of the movies are based off of books or popular book series, and you'll see more of that even in Bridgit's projects. Now, this movie stars a young Allison Stoner, the best dancer to ever come out of Disney. She danced for Missy Elliott, okay? But anyways, Allison's character Alice moves to a new neighborhood and goes to a new school, and she's just trying to fit in. And then Bridgit, she plays the mean girl, Pamela, and then Bridgit gets to play the princess in the school play, while Alice is the frog. The trials and tribulations of an 11-year-old girl. Now, the Alice Upside Down movie was screened in limited cinema, which means only a few movie theaters got to see it. And then after that, it aired on Starz, Kids and Family for a while. But for the most part, the movie was primarily sent straight to DVD. And whenever a studio does that, that usually means that they don't have a lot of confidence that the movie will perform well in theaters or even just like on TV, like on prime time. They don't have any faith in it at all. So they just kind of like send it straight to DVD, just put it out there secretly, you know? So that's what this movie was. However, for the soundtrack of this movie, Bridgit got to sing backup vocals for one of Alison Stoner's songs. But I do think it's kind of like odd that you'd make Bridgit Mendler a background singer. She's not the background girl. But I guess you gotta move your way up in Hollywood. But then in 2008, Bridgit landed yet another supporting role as one of the mean girls in a movie based on a book series. This time it was The Clique. And the movie is your typical tween mess, pretty similar plot to Alice Upside Down, but this time it has to do with like class and like the rich people versus the poor people, you know, private school and all that jazz. And fun fact, Samantha Boscarino plays another mean girl in this movie, and you probably might remember Samantha as Bridget's future co-star on Good Luck Charlie, where she played Skylar. What happened next is what dreams are made of. Bridgit Mendler got the chance to star alongside the Lindsay Lohan in the movie Labor Pains, where Lindsay's character Thea is the guardian of her teenage sister, who is played by Bridgit Mendler. And then Lindsay's character is struggling to balance it all, and she's about to get fired, but then she comes up with the lie that she's pregnant, and then that saves her from being fired, but then she has to keep up with the lie and, you know, increase her belly size with the fake pillows and stuff, and it just makes her life more difficult in a lot of ways. Now, this movie was filmed during the summer of 2008, but it wasn't released until the summer of 2009. It was released to theaters in several countries abroad. However, it never received a full theatrical release in the United States. Instead, it premiered on ABC Family on Sunday, July 19th, 2009, to 2.1 million viewers, which I think is a huge step up from Alice Upside Down, where your movie couldn't even air on primetime. But I've always loved the movie Labor Pains, and I am always excited and looking forward to my yearly rewatch. Later on, Bridgit had a minor role as one of the high school students that swoons over the chipmunks in the very popular movie Chipmunks the Squeakquel. And like Labor Pains, this movie was filmed during the summer of 2008, and it was released in 2009. But by then, Bridgit was already working on the next steps of her career, Disney Channel. In 2009, Bridgit began appearing as Juliet Van Housen, a teenage vampire who falls in love with Justin Russo on the hit Disney Channel TV show Wizards of Waverly Place. This show stars Selena Gomez as the Alex Russo, a rebellious teenage girl who, along with her two brothers, Justin and Max, are wizards in training who must learn lessons about wizardry from their father, who is a former wizard. And then one day, Alex, Justin, and Max have to compete against each other in the wizard competition, where only one sibling will be able to become the family wizard, and they'll keep their powers and gain even more powers, while the other two get nothing. Now, Justin and Bridget's character Juliet were actually a very good match when they were together. They're both smart, they're both very responsible, they're both hard workers, they're both very quirky in a way that just works like with the two of them. Like David Henry and Bridgit Mendler have such great chemistry, honestly. But in the show Wizards of Waverly Place, Justin is a wizard, Juliet is a vampire, and their families own rivaling sandwich shops. So there's the Late Night Bite, which is owned by Juliet's family, and then across the street is the Waverly Substation, which is owned by Justin's family, the Russos. And the parents hate each other, they're in competition with each other, and they forbid Justin and Juliet from seeing each other. But like Romeo and Juliet, they continue to pursue their forbidden love, and eventually their families cave in and they just let Justin and Juliet be together. And then from there, Bridgit Mendler continues to reprise her role as Juliet on and off again until the Wizards of Waverly Place series finale in 2012. But it was Bridget's next role that would be her biggest to date. In February 2009, Bridgit had filmed a pilot for a potential new show. The show was aiming to be about a regular middle-class family. No wizards, no psychics, no secret pop stars, no teenage girl who gets her own TV show. None of that. Just regular people, a regular family. And while waiting for that pilot to get picked up, Bridgit guest starred on the very first episode of the Jonas Brothers TV show, Jonas. She played a character named Penny, who was Nick Jonas's crush, so much to the point where Nick wrote a song about Penny, telling her how much he loved her. And then the song, Give Love a Try, Bridget's character Penny actually took that song and sang it for her boyfriend instead. And Nick was, of course, upset, as anybody would be when your crush sings the song that you wrote for them to somebody else. And this song, Give Love a Try, is actually included on the first season soundtrack of Jonas. But unfortunately, for some odd reason, this soundtrack was never released, like, to the public ever, which is weird because the season 2 soundtrack was, but I don't know. Now, remember the pilot episode that Bridgit filmed back in February? The one about like a normal family and everything? So in July of 2009, that pilot got the green light from Disney Channel, which means that they were going to go ahead and make it a TV show. They ordered a full first season, and then in August of 2009, the show began filming. This show is, of course, if you don't know by now, but I'm sure you do, Good Luck Charlie, a show starring a teenage girl named Teddy Duncan, who is played by Bridgit Mendler, who is the second oldest child in her family. There's PJ, her dim-witted but sensitive older brother. There's Gabe, her rebellious younger brother. And then there's the newest addition to the family, Charlie Duncan, the little baby. There's also Teddy's parents, Amy and Bob, who are a nurse and a bug exterminator, respectively. Now, the first episode of the series follows the Duncan family as they try to adjust to life now that Amy is going back to work after her maternity leave is over since having Charlie. The kids and Bob have to step up around the house and help out, and Teddy begins filming video diaries for her little sister Charlie. And these video diaries are intended for Charlie to watch when she gets older, and they're just pieces of advice and life lessons that Teddy learns throughout each episode. And I've always thought that was really cute. At least it was never cringy like iCarly when they did their video stuff. But Teddy doing the whole video diary thing honestly is where I feel the whole Disney Channel marketing genius thing happens because, you know, Disney has always had a large child following and children are always looking for inspiration. They always look up to so many different people and different things. And if they're watching a show where a character is like always recording stuff and using the camera and doing video diaries, then I feel like Disney should have had a line of Teddy Duncan video cameras that they could have just sold. They probably would have made a lot of money off of that. Because all the merchandise that they made from Wizards of Waverly Place with those wands, Hannah Montana with those microphones, I'd be surprised if Disney didn't do that, because I'm pretty sure they would have, or they should have at least, but I never heard anything. And this was also around the same time that YouTube was really starting to get popular and people were video diarying as well, so that was cool. Now, Good Luck Charlie officially premiered in America on April 4th, 2010, but the first episode was available to watch a few weeks earlier on March 19th through the iTunes store. And I kind of miss when Disney used to do that because I still have the first episode of Liv and Maddie and the first episode of Gamer's Guide to Pretty Much Everything and the first episode of Girl Meets World, a whole bunch of shows from the mid-2010s. Weeks before the show would premiere, Disney would release the first episode for free on iTunes, and I was like 12 years old, didn't have no money. I was like, download. But anyways, Good Luck Charlie premiered to 4.6 million viewers, and many enjoyed the down-to-earth appeal of the show. They felt like it was a breath of fresh air, that they were finally featuring a regular family and people doing regular things, people not like striving for fame or being secretive because they have powers or are trying to hide it. People who were relatable, you know, regular people. And people also enjoyed the widespread appeal of this show because every person in the family could watch it and enjoy it. Girls would like it, boys would like it, parents would like it, babies would like it. You know, every demographic would like it. And Bridgit Mendler actually got to showcase her vocals when she sang the theme song for the show, Hang in There Baby.
You're gonna love who you turn out to be. Hang in there, baby.
And Disney really should have released the full version of this song when the show premiered, like around that time. But they didn't, and I still don't know why. Because they did it with like other shows. And they did do it with Good Luck Charlie, but it took like a few years. Missed opportunity. But anyways, on July 11th, Good Luck Charlie was renewed for a second season. And in order to capitalize on Bridget's growing popularity, after finishing filming season 1 in early 2010, Bridget began filming a brand new movie called Lemonade Mouth. This movie is based on a book of the same name by Mark Peter Hughes, and it features 5 high school students who couldn't be more different, but they come together in detention and form a band. And the movie was filmed during the summer of 2010. Then on September 10th, Bridget reprised her role as Juliet on Wizards of Waverly Place, in an episode where Alex and Harper are trying to get Justin to move on from Juliet and start dating new people after Juliet turned old and hobbled off into the forest. Then in October, Bridget was back to filming season 2 of Good Luck Charlie. Also in 2010, Bridget sang a cover of Sarah McLachlan's Grammy-winning song, When She Loved Me, from the Toy Story 2 soundtrack. And Bridget's cover was featured on the Disney Mania 7 compilation album, which featured a whole bunch of different Disney stars singing a whole bunch of different songs from a whole bunch of different movies, and that album was released on March 9th, 2010. Now, by the end of 2010, Bridget had proved herself to be a very notable Disney newcomer, but so much more was yet to come. On January 16th, 2011, Good Luck Charlie aired the episode Snow Show Part 1. This episode followed the Duncan family as they take a winter vacation at a ski resort up in the mountains. You know, they live in Colorado. And Teddy is trying to navigate her love life after breaking up with her toxic ex-boyfriend, Spencer, who cheated on her with Skylar, who was played by Samantha Boscarino, who I mentioned earlier from the Click movie. And fun fact, Samantha and Shane Harper, who is the actor that plays Spencer, Samantha and Shane are married in real life, like right now. Ain't that something? Anyways, Teddy meets up with a psychic who tells her that she will find the love of her life during this vacation. And then Teddy runs into 3 guys throughout her trip, and one of them ends up being Spencer. And of course, Teddy is just distraught. Now, this episode managed to gain 7.2 million viewers, becoming the second most watched episode in Good Luck Charlie history. And although this is an impressive milestone, a big reason that this episode got so many viewers is because it aired directly after the Hannah Montana series finale and the conclusion to the 3-part Twister event from The Sweet Life on Deck. And because those episodes were such big events in Hannah Montana and The Sweet Life on Deck, those viewers just followed to Good Luck Charlie. But still, Good Luck Charlie got the views, you know. Then a few weeks later, on January 30th, the final episode of season 1 of Good Luck Charlie aired. On February 1st, Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2 premiered, and Bridgit Mendler actually had a minor role, voicing a French poodle named Apolline who wins a dog show. This movie was filmed in late 2009, and its promotional single, This Is My Paradise, was released on January 12th, 2011. And of course, this song was yet again sang by Bridgit Mendler. A few weeks after that, on February 20th, the very first episode of season 2 of Good Luck Charlie aired. Then on March 4th, the song Somebody was released as the first single from the Lemonade Mouth soundtrack.
Come on, let it shine so they can see we were meant to be somebody.
The song was performed by Bridgit Mendler, and I've always considered it to be one of her best sounding songs vocally. Like, she sounds so good in the song. Then on March 31st, Bridget signed a record deal with Disney's record label Hollywood Records in hopes that one day Bridget would put out her own music. And I've heard some horror stories about Hollywood Records, but we'll see how it goes for Bridget. On April 12th, the full soundtrack for Lemonade Mouth was released, and it featured tracks from different combinations of the 5 lead actors: Adam Hicks, Naomi Scott, Blake Michael, Haley Kiyoko, and of course, Bridgit Mendler. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200, and songs like Determinate, Breakthrough, and She's So Gone became fan favorites, with Determinate and Breakthrough even becoming released as singles. Determinate even managed to peak at number 51, becoming the highest peaking single from this soundtrack. And fun fact about Determinate, when I was in elementary school, that's when this movie was released and everything, my teachers made Determinate like the school song to play at like pep rallies and stuff. And at the time I thought it was cool. I was like, oh my gosh, look at Mr. Myers and Miss Imhoff dancing to Lemonade Mouth. Oh my gosh, they're like with it. They know what's hip and cool. But now that I'm older, I just look back and I just cringe. I just cringe. But then 2 years later, my teachers, they made Roar by Katy Perry the school song, and they were dancing to that song at pep rallies, and I was just like, I was eating it up. On April 15th, Lemonade Mouth finally premiered to 5.7 million viewers. And in order to get people more excited about the movie's release, there was an episode of Good Luck Charlie that was scheduled to air 2 days later on Sunday, April 17th, but that episode got moved up to Friday, April 15th, right before the premiere of Lemonade Mouth. And Disney used to air new episodes of the shows on Friday nights or Sunday nights. Good Luck Charlie was a Sunday night show, so it was rare that it got an episode that aired on a Friday night. This was one of the special times where you'd get to see Good Luck Charlie on Friday night, which I was kind of happy about because personally, I've always loved the Friday night shows better than the Sunday night shows on Disney. I didn't like that it aired at Sunday night and you got reminded of school in the next morning. But anyways, both the Lemonade Mouth movie and music were well received with the public. And even though it wasn't the biggest Disney movie at the time it was released, in retrospect, people have come to consider it one of the best Disney Channel original movies of all time, which it is. You gotta give it up. Then on June 5th, Good Luck Charlie aired the episode Charlie Shakes It Up, which is a crossover with the other popular Disney Channel original series, Shake It Up, which starred Bella Thorne and Zendaya. In this crossover episode, the Duncan ladies have to visit a relative in Chicago, but somehow they lie their way into dancing on stage with Rocky and Cece on Shake It Up Chicago. Now, this crossover was only a half an hour long. It wasn't like a 1 hour special, which a lot of crossovers tend to be. And this episode was only considered a Good Luck Charlie episode. It wasn't considered a Shake It Up episode at all. I guess they did that because Good Luck Charlie was the more popular show between the two. But overall, I thought that this crossover was kind of like mundane as far as crossovers go. And people on the internet have also pointed out that it was kind of an odd pairing, Good Luck Charlie and Shake It Up. Because Shake It Up should have crossed over with like another music or dance or fame related Disney show, like Shake It Up and Austin and Ally would have went great. But Charlie Shakes It Up still managed to garner over 4 million viewers. On June 11th, we got more Bridgit Mendler music when she released the single We Can Change the World for the Disney's Friends for Change campaign, urging kids to go green and go out and save the world. Recycle.
We're gonna do the little things and the big things. We'll do everything we can. 'Cause we can change the world.
The song was written by Bridgit and a Swedish producer/songwriter named Wasim Persson. And Wasim has worked with many stars in and out of Disney, like Ashley Tisdale, China Anne McClain, Gloria Gaynor, the Jonas Brothers, and Willow Smith. I work my hair back and forth. The We Can Change the World music video was released a day earlier on June 10th, and it featured international Disney stars from countries all over the world. Fun fact, $250,000 was donated to Disney's Worldwide Conservation Fund during the release of We Can Change the World. Then later that month, on June 24th, Bridgit participated in the Disney Friends for Change Games, where multiple Disney stars competed against each other in a series of obstacle courses. Bridgit served as the captain of the yellow team, because she's such a leader. And during the event, Bridgit performed We Can Change the World, and that song served as the official anthem for the event. In July of 2011, Good Luck Charlie had wrapped up filming its second season. Then on the 29th of that month, Good Luck Charlie was renewed for a season 3. Meanwhile, a TV movie based on the show was still in the works. The movie began filming in March 2011 in Utah and was completed by September. And it was set to follow the Duncan family as they go visit Bob's parents in Palm Springs for a Christmas vacation. However, Teddy keeps badgering her parents to let her fly to Florida with her best friend Ivy for the upcoming spring break. The parents say no. Teddy keeps badgering, and then Bob says, you know what? If you can find your own ticket to Florida, then you get to go. And then when the family gets on the plane to go to Palm Springs, the flight attendant offers a free ticket to anywhere to anybody who gives up their seat. So Teddy volunteers, and then Amy follows her out, and then the two cause chaos at the Denver airport, and they get thrown out. So then Teddy and Amy must bus their way, walk their way, drive their way, hitchhike their way, and bike their way all the way from Denver to Palm Springs, California. And they had to do it all before Christmas morning so that they can reunite with their family and be there for Christmas. Also in this movie, Amy reveals that she's pregnant with the 5th Duncan child, which is a plot line that carries on to the rest of the series, which I'm personally a fan of because I'm kind of tired of movies based on Disney Channel TV shows where the movie has zero impact on the TV show, you know? But anyways, on October 28th, Bridget returned as Juliet on Wizards of Waverly Place. This time, it's in a plot where her character is brainwashed by this evil villain, and she's kind of used as a pawn to get Justin to come to the dark side. You know, like if you join me, then you get to have Juliet, the love of your life, even though he didn't end up with her in the reboot, but we're not talking about that today. Then on Sunday, November 27th, Good Luck Charlie aired its final episode of season 2. Then 5 days later, on December 2nd, 2011, Good Luck Charlie It's Christmas premiered. It was watched by 6.8 million viewers. I was definitely one of them. And this movie is a Christmas classic in my household. I'm Gonna Run To You, which is a song that was featured in the movie, was performed by Bridgit Mendler, and it was released as a promotional single on November 18th. This Christmas classic song was also written by Bridgit Mendler again. She has the voice and the pen, and the song was also written by Jamie Houston, who also served as a producer on the song. And Jamie is known for her work on songs from Hannah Montana and High School Musical and more. Also, at some point in 2011, Bridgit Mendler featured on Shane Harper's song, Wait For Me.
When I ask you to stay, are you gonna go on your way? Wait for me, wait for me, yeah.
And Shane Harper, like I mentioned, played Teddy's toxic on and off again boyfriend, Spencer, on Good Luck Charlie. Bridget and Shane even had to perform the song together in August 2011 when they filled in for Miranda Cosgrove at the WestJet concert stage in Vancouver after Miranda had to cancel her whole tour because of her music career-ending car crash, which I've made a whole video about. Also, another fun fact, the same week that the movie Good Luck Charlie It's Christmas premiered was the same week that the cast and crew were filming the first episode of season 3. You know, it's always nice to do stuff in advance. And by the end of 2011, Bridget was now a rising Disney star with her best year yet to come, 2012. On January 6, 2012, Bridget reprised her role as Juliet once again in the Wizards of Waverly Place series finale, Who Will Be the Family Wizard? In this episode, it's the wizard competition, and Juliet is serving as a supportive girlfriend to Justin, rooting him on and hoping that he wins. On January 30th, Bridget guest starred on the show House MD, where she played a homeless teenager who was seeking medical help while suffering from a mysterious illness. On February 17, 2012, Bridget made her return to voice acting in the animated movie The Secret World of Arrietty. This movie was originally a Japanese animated movie that was released in 2010, but then it was released in the UK in 2011 and in the US in 2012. And for the North American dubbed release, Bridget voiced the character of Arrietty, who is a tiny, 3-inch teenage girl whose family lives underneath the floorboards of like a regular human family. And then every once in a while, Arrietty's family would come out and they'd borrow supplies like tape, milk, just any basic household supplies. But then Arrietty forms a friendship with one of the humans in the host family named Sean. And Sean is voiced by David Henry, and in this movie they have to like keep their friendship a secret. Otherwise it would expose Arrietty's world to the humans and nobody knows what they do. And the fact that they have to keep that secret together, it just reinforces David and Bridget's chemistry that I've always liked. Also, Bridget released another song in promotion for this movie called Summertime, and Summertime was released on February 2nd, which is not summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere. On May 6, 2012, Season 3 of Good Luck Charlie premiered with 2 back-to-back episodes, the first of which followed the Duncan family deciding on whether or not they should move into a new house, but then ultimately deciding not to. On June 15th, Good Luck Charlie aired the episode Name That Baby, in which viewers across the world could vote online for what they want the up-and-coming 5th Duncan kid to be named. About 26 million people voted, and I kind of think that maybe people voted more than once, just because most Disney shows, an average episode at the time would get like 3 to 6 million viewers. So I'm like, 26 million people voting. Where are all of these people when it's time to tune into the show? Why are they not watching? Why is Good Luck Charlie not getting upwards of 20 million viewers an episode? And I get it, people at the time couldn't always tune into stuff live. They had to like DVR stuff or like watch a rerun when it came on. But you're telling me 20 million people couldn't catch a live episode at least once? And fun fact, this episode was actually the second episode to be moved from a Sunday night to a Friday night, just before the release of a brand new Disney movie. This time, it was Let It Shine. On June 24th, 2012, Good Luck Charlie aired its most viewed episode ever. The 1-hour special event, Special Delivery, garnered 7.4 million viewers. And of course, this is the episode where the 5th Duncan baby, Toby, is born.
You're something beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You're something beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I just want you to know, you to know, you to know that you're not alone.
Now, by this time, Season 3 of Good Luck Charlie had finished filming, and then on July 12th, Good Luck Charlie became one of the lucky few Disney shows to get renewed for a 4th season. On August 7th, Bridget was ready to release her debut single, Ready or Not. She was ready.
Ready or not, here I come. Where you at? The night is young. In the crowd, the music's loud, but I will find you.
The song's chorus borrows the melody from the Fugees' 1996 song, Ready or Not, which in turn borrows from the Delphonics. Bridget primarily wrote her song with a team of collaborators including Emmanuel Kiriakou, who has worked with many stars in Hollywood such as Whitney Houston, Jordan Sparks, Celine Dion, and Neo. The lyrics of Ready or Not describes a young girl who was once shy but is now eager to go for what she wants. In the song, Bridget name drops a bunch of people like Oprah, Prince William, and Kate Middleton. Ready or Not received positive reviews, and Bridget's vocals and lyrics were praised. The song managed to peak at number 49 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 7 on the UK singles chart, and was later certified 2 times platinum by the RIAA for selling over 2 million units in the United States. Ready or Not is still to this day Bridgit Mendler's most successful song ever. She even got the chance to perform it live on X Factor in December of that year. On August 25th, Bridget embarked on her debut concert tour simply titled Bridgit Mendler, Live in Concert. The tour was in support of her upcoming debut album, and she played 24 shows ranging from state fairs to music festivals all across the US and Canada. She performed songs from her upcoming debut album, as well as songs from Lemonade Mouth and a whole bunch of covers, including This Love by Maroon 5. Bridget's tour and stage presence were also well received, and the tour lasted until December 31st. On October 2nd, Bridget was featured on the Disney Channel Holiday Playlist compilation album, with her and Shane Harper's duet, My Song for You, which was also featured in an episode of Good Luck Charlie. Then 2 weeks later, the theme song for Good Luck Charlie, Hang In There Baby, was finally released in full, but this time it was featured on the Make Your Mark Ultimate Playlist compilation album. Then on October 22nd, 2012, Bridget finally released her debut album, Hello, My Name Is ... which gets its title from the first line of Ready or Not. Bridgit described the album as being pop with R&B, jazz, and funk influences. And although critics praised Bridgit's vocal skills and songwriting, some criticized the songs on the album for sounding too similar, and the album as a whole for lacking direction. Regardless, the album peaked at number 30 on the Billboard 200, with over 12,000 copies sold. And although the album didn't do too horrible chart-wise, it's hard not to compare the commercial success of Bridgit's album to other stars from Hollywood records at the time, such as Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato, who released When the Sun Goes Down and Unbroken just 1 year before, in 2011. Yet those albums peaked within the top 4 of the Billboard 200 and sold 5 or 6 times the amount of Bridgit's album. Regardless, I still think Hello, My Name Is a major accomplishment. Now, by the end of 2012, Bridgit arguably had her best year while on Disney Channel. Then on January 19, 2013, Bridgit performed at the UNICEF Acoustic Charity Concert alongside stars such as Selena Gomez. The next day, Season 3 of Good Luck Charlie ended with a special 1-hour episode where the house gets destroyed, basically. That same month, Season 4 of Good Luck Charlie began filming. Then, on February 12th, my favorite song from Hello, My Name Is ... was released as a single.
Every time he smiles, I let him in again. Everything is fine when you're standing in the eye of the hurricane. Here comes the sun, here comes the rain. Standing in the eye of the hurricane.
Hurricane features Bridgit talk rapping in the verses, but belting beautifully in the choruses. And lyrically, the song is about the ins and outs of a relationship. You know how there's the high highs and the low lows, and then there's the drama, and then there's like the center where everything's calm, and then that's the eye of the hurricane. And the high note that Bridgit hits just before the second chorus is magnificent. On March 5th, the soundtrack for Season 3 of Shake It Up was released, and this soundtrack features a remixed version of a song called We're Dancing, which was originally a bonus track on Hello, My Name Is. On April 27th, Bridgit performed her song Hurricane live at the 2013 Radio Disney Music Awards, which was hosted by Ariana Grande. The next day, the first episode of the 4th and final season of Good Luck Charlie premiered to 3.9 million viewers. This episode was about the Duncan family contemplating on whether or not they should rebuild their house the exact way that it used to be, or rebuild it in a new design. But then the Muppets come and they sing a song and they convince the Duncan family to keep everything the way it was. And even though I like the Muppets in this episode and I like their song that they sing with Teddy and Amy, I do feel like this song is kind of like a repeat of the Season 3 premiere in a way. Has anybody ever thought that? Then on May 13th, Bridgit guest starred as herself and sang her song Hurricane on a popular series from Disney Channel Latin America called Violetta. Then on June 16th, Bridgit embarked on her summer tour. This tour was to support Hello, My Name Is even further. She performed 47 shows across North America up until November 2014, and Bridgit was praised for her vocals and onstage quality. Her opening acts included R5, Austin Mahone, Shane Harper, and Alex Iono. And fun fact, during this tour, Bridgit was set to perform in several South American countries. However, due to the political, cultural climate of Argentina at the time, she had to cancel. Then in July, Good Luck Charlie finished filming its final episode. On July 17th, Bridgit released Top of the World as the third and final single from Hello, My Name Is. And although this song didn't chart, it was featured as transitional music in an episode of American Idol. Bridgit was at the We Day charity event, and this event is supposed to feature speakers and social activists who come together and try to tackle global issues. However, We Day stopped doing this charity event after the 2020 charity scandal. On November 29th, 2013, which was Black Friday, I remember that, Good Luck Jessie NYC premiered. This was a 1-hour crossover Christmas event, and boy did it feel like it. Good Luck Jessie actually felt like a crossover. It had its own special crossover theme song, and the episode garnered 5.7 million viewers. And I remember that night I was flipping back and forth between Disney Channel and Nickelodeon because Nickelodeon was premiering the Sierra Bravo movie Jinxed, like the same night at the same time, and I had to like keep flipping back and forth between commercial breaks. And it turns out that only 3.2 million viewers tuned into Jinx that night. So I guess Disney Channel won again. They always win. Now, by the end of 2013, Bridgit was beginning to establish herself as a star beyond Disney Channel. Then on January 26, 2014, Good Luck Charlie made Disney Channel history when they became the very first program to feature a lesbian couple. Yes, we can. Then on February 16, 2014, Good Luck Charlie aired its series finale, Goodbye Charlie. This episode was a 1-hour-long event. It garnered 4.5 million viewers, and it follows Teddy as she struggles to make her final video diary and struggles to say goodbye to her family as she goes off to college. And with this final episode of Good Luck Charlie, Bridgit Mendler's Disney journey has come to an end. She would continue to release music, go on tour, and appear in movies and TV shows, but the most interesting thing is what Bridgit Mendler did next. She went to MIT and Harvard, got her degrees, got her JD, her Juris Doctor. That's why we have to address her as Bridgit Mendler, JD. Then Bridgit co-founded and became CEO of a satellite data startup company called Northwood Space, which has now raised over $38 million. And in terms of more personal things, Bridgit has been married since 2019 and is now the mother of a little boy who she was fostering and then adopted with her husband. Now, many people who walk the Disney Channel path are not fortunate enough to end up with a future as bright as Bridgit's. She has accomplished so much and she has so much more to go. And of course, I couldn't mention every little thing that Bridgit has done while she was an entertainer. I didn't even mention all of the charity work that she did because honestly, it's a lot. Such a wonderful human being. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been a Disney journey. Goodbye now.